Hey guys, Alex here with Freedom Mowers. Hopefully you all are doing well. FRP Moto sent over this GMB 100 frame kit. This thing just dropped and is super awesome. It comes as the mini bike frame kit. I've already got the engine in here, but I'm going to show you guys unboxing and getting everything assembled on here. But basically this thing is ready to drop in your 212s, your 224s, or some other engines. It comes with a fully adjustable engine mount. You've got two different locations for your foot pegs, and also comes with rear hydraulic disc brake, which a lot of these other brands do not have. I'm going to run you guys through unboxing it and getting this thing ready for the road. FRP Moto, they have a mini bike they've been selling for a while, and they just came out with this new frame kit. We're going to get it unboxed. I'll show you guys everything about it, the features, and then we're going to do a build and get this thing road ready. All right, I went ahead and got everything out of the box here. Now the packaging was really good, and the packing itself was solid on here. Nothing came out damaged. Right off the bat, we have our frame. I'm not going to bore you guys with just the assembly of putting the bars on, the forks, and the wheel, because there are quite a few videos on that. But overall, this thing looks great right out of the box. We have all the components that we need. We have this new adjustable engine mounting plate that I'll go over with you guys, all the tools and hardware, and I think that's pretty much it. We're going to get the whole frame assembled, and then we can go ahead with showing you guys what engine's going on here and some of the new features on this bike. And after about 20 minutes, we've got the frame all put together. It was really easy. We just had the forks to put on, put the handlebar on, and then just put on the front tire with the spacers. Basically just taking off the wrapping and stuff. I did take off the seat to get the plastic off completely, but everything is looking good on here. So this is the engine we're going to be using. I have a Predator 224. This was on another bike that I had. I've got to do a little cleaning on it to get it completely prepped, but I just got this running, came off from a non-running bike, and we had this engine up to close to 55 miles an hour. So I'm hoping we are going to be able to hit speeds like that on here. I've got to add a rear sprocket onto this bike, and I already have a 10-tooth clutch. We're going to be running some 420 chain on here, so it's nice and beefy and can handle all this power. Alright, so the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is just get the rear wheel off so we can get our sprocket on here. The nice thing is, you know, with mini bikes is you can change the gearing either on your clutch or on your sprocket. We have the 40 tooth for the rear on this, and then we're going to have the 10 tooth on the front. But we've got a 14 on the left side, and then we have a 19 on the right side. Now there is a spacer in between on the left side, but then on the right side I'll show you guys the spacer is actually built into the hydraulic brake mount. So we're just going to take this. There is a washer and nut on the right side, and then we'll just lift up with a little pressure here and then pull out the bolt. Alright, axle was a snug fit in that bearing. Now I've just got to pull our wheel down and out. And like I said, we have the spacer here on the left side, and then on the right side for our spacing we actually have the brake bracket. Alright, with our wheel assembly off in the rear, this is the sprocket I'm going to be using. Now this did not come with the mounting hardware for the sprocket, so when you get your sprocket, make sure you get the hardware as well. This one is just going to be a 6 bolt pattern on here. I am going to go ahead, because there are a lot of spots on the bike that have the blue Loctite. It's always a good thing to put this on for vibration. So I'm just going to go ahead and get our 6 bolts in here, and then it's just going to be reverse order of how we just took it off, making sure we have that spacer on the left side and just get it torqued down. Alright, looks like we are ready to go with the engine plate. Now this one is going to mount up just like this, where the cutout is going to the left hand side. And the way that these work is really nice. You have a lot of adjustability forward and back, but you are going to put your longer bolts through the bottom, and it has basically like a cutout where it'll encapsulate the head of these bolts. So we'll put these 4 in. Kind of have to hold everything in place. Alright, it seems like the easiest way to do it is just to get these fed through the bottom, and they kind of just hold on to the bolts, and then we can just lay it up against the frame here. And then with the 4 bolts in that are going to be to mount the engine. We can go ahead and put in the other 4 that mount the plate to the frame. Same way, these just go from top to underneath, but they encapsulate the head. And then with each one of these bolts, we have a nylon nut and washer. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of snug up the 4 mounting bolts for the plate to put it to the frame, and then we'll go ahead and just drop the engine on and line up these bolts. All right, the plate is snug down. It's a 1/2 inch nut on the bottom, and I just basically tightened it up enough where we can slide and these bolts aren't coming out. So there is another notch here in the back, and I don't know, we're just gonna have to figure out, depending on your engine, how all this goes, but we're just gonna give this a shot now. So I'm gonna come around from the other side with the motor and see if we can drop that onto those studs. All right, I did get it over the bolts on this side. Now, like I was saying, I basically came in from the other side. I had the engine tilted up a little bit and got it on those 2 studs, and then over here just kind of had to walk it down a little bit. Now, it would have been much easier without this carburetor on here or the exhaust, which if you're going to be running a stock Predator, you're going to have to take those off anyways just to make sure you've got the clearance. But I was able to get this in here with the exhaust and the carb on it. All right, and this thing is going to be a beast with this engine in here. Now, that riser plate, or the adjustable plate, that did bring up the drain bolt in the front just enough to clear the frame. And then also on the valve cover, can't really get a good view, but now we've got a little bit of gap there where we're not going to be running into clearance issues. So at this point, I have some 420 chain that came off the bike that this engine came off from. I'm going to see if it's long enough, and if it's not, I have a brand new box, and we can go ahead and get that measured up. Basically, then we can manipulate the engine as we need to get it close to the tension, and then I'll show you guys on the other side. We have our adjustable chain tensioner on here as well. All right, and my original chain was nowhere near long enough, so I've gone ahead and got close enough to where the clutch and the sprocket are nice and lined up here. I ran the new chain over top of the tensioner, and I've basically got to where I need to take the link off right here, the excess chain. Now, the kit that I ordered, it did actually come with the tool, so basically you just have to fit this over the chain where you need it. And once I get over the outside, basically this is just going to drive the pin out. I'm going to go ahead and get this clamped into place. Now we can basically just start to drive that pin right out. All right, pin just came right out. So I am going to have to push out this other one, but once I get that, there will be a little bit of slack in the chain, and we can take up the rest of it with the actual adjuster. All right, and the chain is fully on. Master link is right here in the middle. Just wanted to show you guys. So just make sure that your clip is faced forward. That way it's just going with the rotation of the engine. And everything here is nice and smooth. And we've got our alignment right. So we should be all set here. We do need to get the throttle hooked up. Now, the throttle that comes with this one does not have the end on it that I need for a slide carburetor or this a VM22, but this will work perfectly for your stage 1 clone engines, or if you're just running completely stock with that carburetor and the governor setup. So you won't have to change anything. Now, since we've got this engine and the carb, I did order up another throttle here, and this one comes with the end I need for the slide carb. So I'll show you guys just that going on. I'll probably just have to make a little adjustment, and then after that we will hook up our kill switch and we should be ready to ride. And these are pretty simple to set up. We'll just go ahead, we'll start obviously with our cable. We need to put on our cap. We'll just slide that down. That's just going to rest up against the little ferrule here at the top. Then we slide on our spring. We're going to have to kind of compress this a little bit by hand to get our cable exposed. And once you get that held down, then we are just going to take our slide, run our cable up and in. There's a little groove for it. Get it over the top, and then let our spring snap down in there. So from there, I've just got to find the side that has our idle screw. That's that big groove right there. Just line it up, and this should slide all the way down. Now what I'm going to be looking for here is just making sure that we are going all the way down to the bottom position, down to idle, and we're going to want just a little bit of some play in our throttle. And we have just a little bit there, so we might be perfect. What I'll do is once I get this on the handlebars, I can make any kind of adjustments to just moving the actual screw right here in and out, and then you'll just lock that in. Now as far as on the handlebars, all I've got to do on the original one is just take out these two screws, and that whole assembly will slide off, and then just slide that one on and tighten it down. Alright, and it was just 2 Allen screws to get the original throttle off. I've got 2 Phillips to get it set into place. It looks like everything was fine with the adjustment we made, but you can pull that dust boot back like I said. Unlock this if you need to make any adjustments. I wanted just a little bit of some play in the handle to make sure it goes down to idle, but we are nice and snappy there, so all set. Now the last thing we're going to have to do before I get all this wiring tidied up is hook up our kill switch. Now on this, super easy. We just have off the motor, we have just one connector, goes right in, and then we have a ground. I'm just going to ground it right here on the bottom side where the tank mounts, and then we should be all set. So I'm going to get these zip ties clipped and start getting everything routed correctly, and then we'll go ahead and crank this thing up. And this thing looks awesome, guys. Super stoked how this turned out. Engine looks great, and I know it's going to have a ton of power. Now they did send over a code where you guys can get $40 off from this as well. I'll put a link, or I'll put it right down here, Freedom Frame, and you guys can get 40 bucks off from this setup. I went ahead, got everything tidied up. We should be all set. I did crank it, but I'll show you guys this running. Just wanted to double check the kill switch, but we should be all set. And then we'll take it around the yard a couple times, double check everything is tight, and then we'll get it on the road. All right, we are on position there, on position here, choke. Kill switch is working perfect. Alright, this thing is absolutely ripping. Just took it for a couple quick pulls there across the yard just to make sure everything feels good, and those hydraulic disc brakes in the rear make a huge difference. I also do, at some point, I want to test out those rear pegs, because that's more of a race mode where your feet are set back. But for now, we're just going to be running the up front pegs. It's pretty comfortable. Honestly, the bike feels great. I mean, I'm 6'1" and fit on here just fine. So I'm going to double check, just make sure everything is good to go, and I'll get you guys set up. We're going to take this on the road. 52 on that one. That was the first real pull on that bike. Still a little bit more in it, but this does need a little bit of some gearing change. But right out of the box, 52. We'll go take it up and down the road a little bit more, and then we can run it around the yard and get a little bit of off-road testing. But this thing is running great. Alright, one last look at this beast. This thing is a torque monster on-road and off-road. So if you guys are looking for a frame kit, definitely this is an awesome platform. Now off-road, it could definitely use some upgraded front shocks, which they do offer. And as far as putting this thing together, I mean, you have to have your engine, your clutch, sprocket with the hardware, and I think that was it. Everything else was all set on here, especially if you're going to be using like a stage 1 or a governor setup. You could just put a off-the-shelf Predator engine on here, and besides the sprocket, chain, and clutch, this thing would be good to go. But honestly, this thing looks great and rides great too. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for today. That bike was a blast to put together and a blast to ride. I will link in the description where you guys can find your frame. And don't forget to use the discount code FREEDOMFRAME if you want to get $40 off. I greatly appreciate FRP for sending over this frame so we could have some fun. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the content. We'll have some more content on my other channel, which is Mini Moto Garage, where we're going to be doing some mini bike builds and other fun stuff over there. So, on that note, let freedom ring, let those small engines sing. I'll catch you all on the next one.